Inside an active volcano. Have you ever wondered what is inside a volcano, buried beneath the ground? Well, that is exactly what we will be seeing in today's video. And this will not be done through two-dimensional graphics or CGI, but rather actual footage from a drone as filmed by and courteously provided by the Extreme Pursuit YouTube channel. For this, we need to travel to a foreign land far away from the North American continent. There, within the southern hemisphere, we head to the eastern third of the island of Flores in Indonesia, arriving at the Egan volcano. Egan is an active andesitic stratovolcano which has erupted 4 times so far this century, containing more than a dozen volcanic craters, the youngest of which we will be exploring. By the way, this is highly dangerous and being done by professionals, so don't ever attempt to get similar footage. As we descend into this 80-meter or 262-foot wide crater, I want to first note how it formed on April 15, 2008. It originated due to heat from shallow magma causing regional groundwater to flash to steam, how this crater formed and then expand to such a degree that building pressure broke through overlying rock, shooting upwards and fragmenting overlying material via what is known as a phreatic eruption. This generated a rising eruption plume which shot up to an altitude of 5,700 meters or 18,000 feet. I want everyone to take note of the darker gray to black rock visible on the left side of Geologist analysis this footage. It represents older andesite lavas emplaced long ago and then buried by more recent hydrothermal alteration and eruptive products. Immediately beneath the andesite lava layer is ash that has a pink to reddish tint from pulverized andesite magma that contained iron minerals which have since rusted after exposure to oxygen. You will also note a number of bright-colored minerals on the walls of this crater which is known as a diatreme. The yellow represents sulfur, but if it has a green tint it likely contains finely grained fool's gold also known as pyrite, while if it has an orange tint it likely also contains orpiment or concentrations of arsenic. The white largely represents clay minerals such as alunite and kaolinite. These minerals formed through a process known as hydrothermal alteration where harder rock units were replaced over time by more brittle minerals, along with degassing after the eruption replacing a crust of sulfur on portions of the diatreme walls. I now want everyone to note how brecciated the brecciated rocks in the diatreme walls are, almost like something broke apart a vase and then loosely glued remaining portions back together again. These rocks are brecciated due to the eruption which broke some apart in 2008, falling rocks from the surface, and the instability after the 2008 eruption which caused the crater walls to repeatedly slump off and thus widen the overall diatreme. Yes, the original eruption carved out a notably thinner crater. You'll also note areas which have a distinctive gray surface. This represents secondary chamber andesitic ash. As we descend further, going past 48 meters or 157 feet deep, you'll notice that the diatreme suddenly gets wider for a bit. This represents where an additional explosion occurred at depth during its formation. As this diatreme walls narrow once again, you'll notice a cluster of largely brown highly altered rock on the left side of this footage. That area represents the pathway that rising magmatic gas utilized in the long term to feed a degassing fumarole on the surface. This diatreme is as much as 170 meters or 500 plus feet deep, 558 feet deep, but its bottom does not mark where magma once was. Instead, it represents the spot where the initial volcanic explosion occurred in 2008, representing the contact point of the regional water table which flashed to steam and exploded. And what do you know, we can see a large patch of damp rock and recently flowing water which substantiates this theory. And that is the interior of a volcanic crater that formed during an explosive volcanic eruption in 2008. I hope that you enjoyed this spectacular footage, and be sure to check out Extreme Pursuit's full-length video footage via a link in this video's description. As a final note, I would like to thank my patron Ella Horrell for supporting this channel.